My name's Cody Smith.
I'm Tierra Penner.
Hi there, I'm Tim Ocampo.
And the three of us are the hosts of the Last Podbender. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Last Podbender.
Yeah.
On this episode we are taking a look at episode 8. This is episode 8, so we look at episode 8.
Got it,
Anyways.
yes.
What episode one more
I
time?
think it's 8. It might be
sure?
8. I'm pretty sure it's 8.
What book?
What book? Oh, what book? Book 1. Anyways, we're taking a look at episode 8, Winter Solstice, part 2, Avatar Roku.
Guys,
Yeah.
I think you just nailed it. I think you just nailed that
Good.
intro.
It might have been the best intro.
Oh my god.
I don't know about that. I don't know. It was all right.
That was proper nailage.
Honestly, I think that the best intro we did is on episode 6, Imprisoned, when Tierra did the intro. That was my favorite.
I'm a fan.
That was a good one. So, anyways, in this episode, like I said, it's part 2. So we find out about Avatar Roku. We start off with Aang going. He's packing up Appa. He's trying to get him to fly. Appa won't leave without Katara and Sokka. They don't want him to go to the Fire Nation, but Aang's like, yo, I'm going to the Fire Nation. They're like, well, okay, we'll come with you then. And they do it way more heartwarming than that. It was more like, it was a super heartwarming moment, actually.
Proper ride or die behavior.
Yeah,
It was-
for
it was-
sure.
100% ride or die. Anyways, they fly off on Appa. They're trying to get into the Fire Nation, to the temple of Avatar Roku. There's a blockade. They fucking break that blockade. Both Zuko and Aang. There's some sweet moments that happen. It's really cool. They make it to the temple of Avatar Roku. Zuko follows them, and also General Zhao, who is now Commander Zhao. I like
General
Je-
Zhao.
yeah.
Has a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
General Zhao, je ne sais quoi.
I'm mad that they changed it to Commander Zhao. He should not have gotten a promotion. He should have stayed General Zhao forever. That's my opinion on that. Anyways,
Starting the episode with controversy right off the bat,
yeah,
Cody.
that's what I do, homie. A lot of stuff happens in the temple. They meet the fire sages. They get into the chamber where Avatar Roku is. Aang talks to Avatar Roku, and then there's a fucking sweet ass ending where basically Aang enters into the Avatar state.
I think Roku technically takes over his body.
Yeah, but it's like Aang entering into the Avatar state, which allows Roku to like kind of transmit into his body, I feel.
Yeah.
And then fucking Roku wrecks shit, basically.
All this shit. His whole religion dedicated to him. He was like, no, it burns to the ground today.
Yeah.
Something I would like to say is Zuko is mean. Like, this guy comes out of his house, he's rubbing his eyes, he's clearly tired, and then Zuko's like, I had trouble sleeping, smacks him right back into his house.
I don't know. I did not mean to laugh as long as I did.
That was so rude.
It's so unnecessary.
It's like, can you imagine walking outside your house, it's like 6 a.m. and somebody just like bitch slaps you back into your house?
That was like some proper like classic 90s movie jock bully behavior.
Yeah.
It's like, hey nerd, you sleepy?
Yeah.
Shoves him into a locker.
I love how that Uncle Iroh still wasn't wearing clothes at that point. Like,
Wait, what? I
he
missed
wasn't.
that.
He wasn't.
I didn't even see that.
When they're at the village, Uncle Iroh still isn't wearing clothes.
Well, Cairo just supports that nudist lifestyle.
So funny.
I just like the like that they even continued that, like it's 2 different episodes, right? And how they even continued that through, like
The continuity is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
cool.
it was cool. So there's a lot that happened in this episode, though. I feel
It's
like
a lot,
I
yeah.
feel like we got a lot of information. So
I really like Appa's loyalty. Like, he has not known Katara and Sokka for nearly as long as he's known Aang. But still, he's like, nah, I'm not leaving them. We're not going.
He's like, Appa's the true ride or die, right?
Yeah.
The first.
Yeah.
He said with no words, Ohana means family.
Yeah.
Family means no one gets left behind or forgotten.
Yeah. And then, like, the townsperson is so rude also because he's like, you should go, please go. And Aang's like, thank you so much for your help. And he just like straight up interrupts him and is like, go!
Did I say talk? No. Yeah.
It's like, get out of our village.
But I mean, to be fair, like, it is a race against time.
Yeah.
And I mean, we learned, like we said in the last episode, like that for the first time there is now an urgency to Aang's training, right? And I feel like maybe that's very embodied in even the beginning there, where the villager is like, get out of here, you know? It's like, now it's no more fucking around, like.
Yeah, I think that like the dynamic by the end of the episode really shifted, like, because like, yes, they were trying to beat the Solstice there, but like it really felt like at the end of this episode, okay, they beat the Solstice there. Aang will learn what he needs to learn, and then they'll go back to fooling around and doing things on their own timeline. But what Aang learns, like, really, really pushes the narrative forward.
Yeah.
What I really liked about that coming in on episode 8 instead of earlier on in the show is we really get established characters and character bonds before that, like, rush, before the stress of, like, a timeline descends upon the characters. We really get to establish those bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like apparent right at the beginning of the episode with like we mentioned in the last episode, like how kind of Sokka and Aang's relationship kind of had evolved, and Sokka wouldn't let Aang fight the spirit of the forest by himself. Well, this time, you know, he's kind of joking around and stuff. He's like, there's no way you're going without us. Like,
he's like, you're not going without us. That is.
yeah. So it's like, it's cool to see kind of that develop as well.
I really like that. What's funny, or just hearing you speak about that, just makes me think of the cultural differences of how the air nomads value detachment from connection, whereas the culture of the water tribe is all about community and connection. So I'm just wondering how foreign of a concept this is to Aang. Be like, oh, hey, I'm telling these people to, like, I guess, leave me be. And they're just like, not. It's like, it's not even, it was never an option to them to consider in the first place, which is really cool seeing those two contrasts.
And I guess it's even present in, like, the names, right? Like, air nomads, water tribe, you know?
Yeah.
Something that's like building off of what Tim says, like, the different. My thought just it left.
The thought pulled to air nomad.
Yeah.
God, where did it go?
Oh, it'll come back. You know, the different cultures. You got it?
No, it was before he said that.
Oh,
there was
sorry.
something.
Oh, you were talking about the bonds as well, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's gone now.
It's gone forever. One thing that I did find really cool is the whole blockade scene, like that whole kind of chase scene, where Appa, they're flying on Appa and Zuko's chasing them, and then Zuko's, you know, launching fireballs at them, and then they see the blockade, they're like, okay, we're gonna run the blockade, and it's like this epic moment, because like both Aang, they were like, we're running the blockade, and then Zuko and Iroh are doing this, like, we're running the fucking blockade, like they're doing the same thing, right? But like as the fireballs are like, there's just so many cool scenes, like when they go up into the clouds and the fireballs are launching, coming up through the clouds at them. And then I feel like we see like a really cool Aang moment when like the fireball is heading straight towards them and he jumps off Appa and does this sick like air kick and like blows up.
Talking about that scene in specific, Aang got this like look in his eyes where you like got to see the person that he was gonna grow into.
Yeah.
Like, you saw this look come into his eyes where he's like, this is a serious moment. I'm a serious person and I know what to do about this. And you get to see like a taste of that power that he's gonna come into.
Yeah, it's like the confidence in himself, right? He's like, I know what needs to be done. I'm gonna do it. And then it's really the juxtaposition about before the fireball and after, as like as soon as he breaks through it, he goes back to that like, oh shit.
It's like he surprised himself a little bit and was like, wait, I did do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to say just how constant the support. I love seeing just how like constant Sokka and Katara are in the support of like of just like not even. I like to think that even if Aang was not the Avatar, they would just be just as loyal in their friendship. And I think building off what Tierra said about just like how well these bonds have been established before this ticking time bomb is being brought to their awareness. Yeah, what's really crazy is that as much as we love having fun with Aang, and as much as they do have like a general sense of like what to do for the good of the world, the world gets shaken again, learning that time is no longer a luxury for them at all. Yeah.
I like I really like the temple scenes, like the
Yeah.
secret passageways and learning about like Roku's kind of history. But like one of my favorite things is like even though it didn't work, Sokka is very clever. And I feel like in the first couple of episodes, like maybe even the first book, that cleverness kind of gets glossed over. It was very clever to try lamp oil.
Yeah.
But like regardless if it worked or not, that was an insanely cool thing to do.
I agree. I'd like to think like this whole like so there was so many demonstrations of cunning within this episode, from Zuko using his damaged engine smoke as cover for him to essentially send Zhao on a wild goose chase, to Sokka using the flames or the oil bombs, and then Katara using social cunning to be like, hey, what if we trick them into opening it? It was just like, come on. I was like, I love me a good trick.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
There's a lot of trickiness going on. But we do, kind of building off what you said before, Tim, I feel like before this episode, you know, Aang needed to become the Avatar just to like bring balance to the world. But in this episode particular, we learn about it's not even just to bring balance to the world anymore, it's to save the world. You know, it's to save the world from the Fire Nation, because Sozin's comet is coming and they are basically going to consume the world.
To the point beyond recovery.
Yeah,
And
to a point beyond recovery.
I think this might be the first time that somebody's implied that Aang might have to kill the Fire Lord.
Ooh, right?
And like Roku didn't say that, but it was kind of implied in the way he was talking about, like, you have to defeat the Fire Lord. Like, you only have so much time and you need to kick his butt, basically. And it's implied that Aang might have to kill him. And it's the first time I think that thought's kind of been implanted into Aang's mind.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of cool that he gets so much time to percolate and decide that he doesn't want to do that.
And I also, something in this episode that I noticed is, because, like, you know, we haven't had much exposure to the Fire Nation, and what we have seen is it very bad, it's very evil, it's very, like, not good guy.
Yeah.
Other than, like, Iroh and, like, Zuko a little bit. But we see within Avatar Roku and also Shaiyu that not everybody in the Fire Nation is bad, you know? It kind of, like, humanizes the Fire Nation a little bit.
And it's really cool, like, coming that not only are we as a viewer coming in like into conflict with the thought, it's seeing the characters kind of come into that mental discourse as well, where Sokka puts it into words like, you can't be our friend, you're a firebender. It was like, whoa.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like a wake-up call for the other 4 sages at the very end, where they're like, we didn't help him, and Commander Zhao's like, no, you're all implicated. You're all traitors. And they're like, oh, shit. Like, oh, maybe the Fire Nation, we shouldn't have followed. Maybe we should have helped the Avatar.
That could definite wake-up call there. Ugh.
I also, I like the fact that I like the interaction of Avatar Roku with the fire sages, and him just kind of coming in and destroying his own temple, right? He's basically saying, like, this is almost like
it's a failure.
It's a failure of what I stood for, and the fact that, like, this is, like, being allowed to, like, happen is then this temple should maybe just be non-existent, you know?
It was a symbol of hypocrisy at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Something I noticed, like, talking about Avatar Roku, is, like, obviously he was the Avatar for many, many years, but his like absolute mastery over firebending. Like he burned the chains off of Katara and Sokka without touching them.
It was so good.
Just a food for thought. Was that Roku or was that Aang?
Whew.
But he did it to Zuko as well.
Yeah, no,
True.
but was that Roku or was that Aang?
That's
Roku
true,
technically
yeah.
doesn't exist anymore, right?
But
Aang
Roku's-
is the embodiment of Roku.
Yeah.
But what we saw in this episode was Roku's spirit kind of taking control. Like we even saw Aang's form turned into Roku's form. So I think that was Roku. I think that was Roku being like, these people are innocent and they don't need to get burned with the rest of these faceless Fire Nation soldiers.
Yeah, but I mean, Aang would have possibly done the same thing. Aang's not known to just go burning Fire Nation soldiers, right?
I'd say it was definite Roku's consciousness and that mastery, but Aang was definite the physical conduit.
Yeah.
So it's crazy just thinking like, yeah, that was like that realization. It was like, it was still like
Maybe like that thought of like, these are my
Yeah.
friends influenced how Roku used it.
Well, I think that...
Also, they are essentially the same
person.
Yeah.
They are reincarnations of like they have a lot in common just based
Yeah.
on like I guess spiritual DNA.
Yeah.
in
That's
essence.
a really good way of putting it. Spiritual DNA, I like that.
And like, honestly, I 100% agree with what you said. Like, I do think that it was Roku's consciousness acting in that moment, but it was, believe
Aang's body
It was Aang's physical
power,
form.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Which are one and the same, essentially.
yeah,
Yes.
I think that like it was Roku's like deliberate acts,
Yeah.
but it was like kind of like that influence of like Aang was being like, these are my friends, please don't
Yeah.
hurt them.
Well, yeah,
I
because like,
think building off of what Cody's saying, it's kind of like realizing so Aang has his first car, but he doesn't realize that it's like a Ferrari, and then he doesn't know what it could do until the previous owner, actually drives it, and he was like, "Oh wait, we could do what now?" I think that's what Cody's going for.
Yeah.
And then Tierra's more so saying that like that use of mastery was an intentional, like he used it in a protective way for his friends, and and it reflected, I guess, Roku's justness and Aang's, I guess, love for his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I mean, obviously Aang doesn't have the capability to control magma, you know?
Oh my god.
And like burn apart
Magma
a
bending?
temple.
I was like thinking, I was like, is magma bending earth bending or fire bending?
It's a combination.
Because like technically magma is made out of melted earth.
Yeah.
I think that magma, to be able to control magma, it's like an avatar thing, or you have to have some mastery over earth bending, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way. Like, I was thinking about it actually
like,
as we were watching.
Magma's like the ultimate fire. So
Yes,
maybe
exactly.
you have like
no, I think it's a combination.
fire bending.
I think it's a combination of both. I don't think it's just earth bending. I don't think it's just fire bending. It's like that chart that you showed us where like that circle where all the things are like in between, and it's kind of like how lightning is in between fire and air, right? It's like or is it fire? And, no, it's fire and
placement
air.
on that chart.
Yeah,
But
it's like
but Azula and Iroh and Zuko can all use lightning.
yeah,
But they're
because
not airbenders.
No, but they're fire benders. But I think that like
In relation to the chart, it's kind of like it's like moving towards like it's showing attributes of another element. Kind of.
Yeah,
It's like an affinity.
It's the same with the people who control the plants. They're water benders, right?
Yeah.
But technically, like, you could maybe even make an argument that earthbenders should be able to control plants too, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Depending on like how much earth is in the plant.
Yeah, but I mean,
Like maybe not like vines or water plants. Those feel like
Okay.
those feel like they're like 90% water. Maybe like old gnarled desert trees that are like 90% sand.
but it's just like that chart was really cool in illustrating that it's not just the four elements. There's these in between things, and then also
Sub-elements, yeah.
there's sub elements. But then also you have the mastery of the element, which goes from water goes over to blood, and like earth goes down to metal, and it's like once you have a mastery of the elements, this is what you can do with it, kind of
I
thing.
feel like it's unfair that fire gets both lightning and magma.
Fair.
Actually, have you guys seen Legend of Korra yet?
No, it's on here. We're gonna watch it soon. I'm so
Oh, good.
excited.
Okay. Okay.
I've only seen like the first season. I'm so
Okay.
psyched.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's some Korra book 3 or 4 shenanigans that are kind of relating to what you're saying. So it's good. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna be like that villager who snitched out Aang. Push me all you want, Zuko. You'll get nothing.
Thank you for your discrepancy. No, that's not the right word.
Discretion.
Discretion. Thank you. I was like, it's close. It's not quite that though.
It starts with dis. Yes. What else was cool? Oh, Momo. Sorry, I was gonna go for something super deep, but my brain just went Momo in a hat.
Yeah, for real though, Momo in the hat was the best part. It was so good.
Yeah, and it was. I realized he got that hat when they did the turnaround on the fire sages after getting them to open the temple, and then they snuck attack. Like everyone took out like one fire sage. Momo got to scrap with a fire sage and ended up taking his hat, which is great.
Yeah.
Talking about just like comic relief,
yeah,
like Momo is, but also I feel like there was a really good parallel with Iroh again this episode, because like he was like very comic relief. First, he was like, "Oh, can't you shoot something more fragrant at them? This is very smelly." And then, like instantly, right after that, he was like, "You shouldn't do this.
This is the most foolish thing you've done in 16 years."
Like,
Zuko.
I can't help you if you do this.
Yeah.
And like, so it went from like being like super comic relief to like the juxtaposition of being like, "Please don't do this." I'm like almost begging you.
Yeah, he definitely he was laying down the law to the best of his ability there. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, we can't have another 20-minute episode about Iroh. He was barely in it. He was barely in it this episode.
It's just so good though.
Yeah, he's there like a total of like 40 seconds. Let's go. Don't challenge me. We'll do it. Just kidding.
Hey man, I could talk about Iroh all day.
Sorry, going back to what Tierra mentioned about the first implications of Aang possibly having to defeat the fire. Not implying to, but Aang having to defeat the Fire Lord, and thus implying that killing is a possible outcome. What we know, spoilers. What we know in book 3, in learning about Roku's backstory, is that he had a chance to, I guess, do the same thing. He was in a position where
where he could have stopped.
Where he could have killed his childhood best friend, who would end up trying to conquer the world, or simply just, I guess, defeat him in combat. And well, actually, what actually happened with Roku again? Yeah.
So his like childhood best friend, and then didn't his childhood best friend like kill?
It was Sozin. Oh no! I think So Roku. Oh yeah, Roku actually grew up with Fire Lord Sozin.
Yeah.
And were very good friends. And then when Sozin started having colonial thoughts, instead of, out of mercy and out of friendship, Roku spared his life instead of, I guess, killing him. What that resulted in was essentially Roku dying from trying to save people from a volcano alongside Fire Lord Sozin, but Sozin ultimately left him to die, thus, I don't know, giving him an opportunity to start taking over the world, which is super,
I think,
really mean.
I feel like this is probably something to discuss in later episodes, but I feel like but Roku almost felt like he failed because he didn't kill him.
Yeah. I mean, look what's happened.
Exactly. So I feel like Roku thought that was his failure, and not the failure of the character of his best friend.
Well, I mean, even when we see him in this episode, he does seem very harsh, kind of almost towards the Fire Nation. You know what I mean? It's not like he doesn't talk about they're his people, but he doesn't even it doesn't seem like they're his people. You know what I mean?
It's quite cold.
Yeah, it's very, and then he destroys the fire temple, or the temple that's dedicated to him, right? And it's like, I feel like
he had regrets.
If not regret, then it's it's interesting to note that this happens, this whole war happens because the Avatar is missing, right? And he was the last Avatar and stuff, and it's I don't know. I guess regret would be the best term to describe that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel
think-
like he has regrets, and he's like, I'm gonna just fucking destroy my temple because I regret not doing the things I did.
I also just think that there's like maybe some anger there that like you know
that they like misused it.
because like even it's kind of explained a little bit that the fire sages are supposed to be dedicated towards the
Roku.
Avatar.
And not
Yeah.
towards the country or
Yeah.
the
The
nation.
nation.
The nation. It's supposed to be they're basically there to like you know help the Avatar, and they've kind of lost their way except for the one guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like just you know imagine you've been sleeping for 100 years and you come back and everything's completely different, and the people who you trusted to kind of like uphold the goodness of like neutrality have now been swayed towards the Fire Nation, right?
And I'm just thinking, like, I guess the anger of, like, well, I guess death isn't really a sideline, but it's not the same. It's like being taken out of the game, but essentially, it's a different kind of powerlessness, watching almost like the fruits of your own actions cause so much suffering for other people. And I'm not saying he was the one who caused the Fire Nation to attack, but I could see how as an Avatar, the self-blame, the shame, and the regret and guilt of like, in me prioritizing a friendship instead of duty, it's resulted in the world suffering. Like, I guess there would be a lot of anger to that. And it was so cool, like, how there was such a specific time slot of where Roku could physically manifest. Because, like, if he had like a iota longer of a second, that, I don't know, who knows what he could have done. It's
like destroy the whole Fire Nation.
Yeah. It's like the moon and the stars and the sun were like holding him back. It's like, Roku, you need to calm down, son. It's like, no, let me at him.
Yeah. But like, I think the fact that like all the Avatar spirits are kind of linked in the physical Avatar, and the fact that they somewhat exist within the spirit realm, it must be really hard for Roku to see that like his inaction caused so much pain, and like not be able to do anything about it. He's dead.
Yeah. And it's so heartbreaking because like he showed mercy, and for that mercy to be eventually like misused, and for him to be betrayed by someone he cared about and loved, so that they could continue their evil plans. That must be so much heartbreak, actually.
Yeah.
It's actually like one of the like just kind of going into archetypes and stuff. It's one of like the most evil archetypes. Is the archetype of the betrayer, right? The somebody who takes the trust that you've placed in them and then betrays that trust, right? It's you see it in like kind of like the worm tongue characters and like.
But like the worm tongue characters and those, like, they feel slimy. Like these guys were friends since childhood, and like they trusted each other, and for that like trust to be.
Sorry, real quick. Sozin is the betrayer, right? And when you look at, he feels slimy.
Yeah, but he doesn't at first. Okay. Like when we see the past, when we see like that glimpse into Roku's past, like him and Sozin are buds. Sozin doesn't feel slimy until all of a sudden he is. And like I think that is like kind of the biggest betrayal, is like when us as the audience doesn't even really see the sliminess until all of a sudden it happens. Then us as an audience also feels betrayed, and we feel what that character felt.
Like, just I don't remember that episode super
fair,
well.
that's
So
yeah, it might be something that we should talk about more on that episode.
I'll reserve comment until we get to that point.
I think you're definitely on the right line. Like it's never really elaborate, just like that sense of anguish that you're describing of being hurt by a betrayer archetype. And I feel like that isn't even like, I'm excited for when we actually get to that episode now, just talking about it now.
We're gonna have so much to say.
But I mean that archetype is almost even present within the sages, right?
Yeah.
Like they kind of
and like Shayu is portrayed as the betrayer, but like he's like almost not. He's like the loyal one, and the other people are the betrayers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right, amongst his own people, right?
Yeah. So it's I don't know. It's interesting because like it's always like the other sages. They seem cowardly. They seem like flippant and kind of like, I don't know, wishy-washy and stuff like that. And whereas the Shayu or whatever, he seems kind of like the hero of that whole order, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm actually so sad we don't see that character again, actually.
I was thinking about it. I was trying to place if we had seen him again. I don't think that we do.
He gave me big White Lotus energy, Order of the White Lotus energy.
maybe.
I hope he's White Lotus, but
That would be cool.
yeah. In my head canon, he is.
Yeah. All the like the good, just older people, they should just all be part of the White Lotus.
I think we talked about it a little bit in the last episode, but pretty much they all are.
Yeah.
What's funny though? What is funny though? I think what the function. Actually, I'm not even sure what the function of the White Lotus is, but it's a secret organization like dedicated to like, I guess the secrets and the knowledge of that all four nations, like,
Together.
yeah, can provide. But what's interesting, like, there's people like just because. As much as I love the White Lotus, doesn't mean just being a part of it makes you perfect. Because we did have Paku. The first time we see Paku, he's entrenched in traditionalism that was based out of like sexism essentially, and it's. I think we do have understanding that I think you have. I don't even know. At what point do you get inducted into the White Lotus? Is it like, oh hey, you stopped being a sexist. Welcome aboard. You're 80 now. But
I forgot Paku was who you were talking about. I was thinking of not the waterbender teacher, but the first firebender teacher that Aang has.
Oh, Zhang.
Zhang. I was thinking of him, and then I was like, what? He wasn't sexist. I was like, oh, never mind. Just kidding. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. There's so much but rewatching it now. There's so much things like behind the scenes in their narratives that are just kind of like make me so curious. It's so cool.
Plus, we analyze it. We do deep dives. I feel like.
So they picked it up with their left hand.
Exactly, their left hand. Will they lose that left hand later?
And obviously the ending to this episode is
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really well done. The way that they kind of ride out on Appa into the moonlight.
Full
and it's,
moon.
Yeah, it's silhouetted with like Sokka and Katara kind of like huddled around Aang, and then like Momo kind of flies out, and like they're all kind of just like making sure Aang is okay, right? Because
I think
he had the weight of the world dropped on him a second time.
Yeah, exactly, a second time, and it's like it's not just the weight of it's like the weight of a heavier world.
Something that really hit me is like, this might be the only time that we're shown the moon that it doesn't directly correspond to Sokka's girlfriend.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I feel like, I mean, because that's after season 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like at the end of season 1. So I'm sure we see the moon a couple more times.
No, yeah, but this is like the full screen was the moon, and it was like being shown as like this really big important backdrop, and I feel like we never see that again without it being subtly implied that it's Sokka's girlfriend.
Truly. Like a lot of times in the narratives in book 2, it's kind of like, oh hey Sokka, remember Princess Yui? And, and it's like, oh man, sad boy hour starts right now.
Yeah, it was just beautiful though. I love that. I love the sense of family that it kind of invoked with everybody gathered, and like Momo, you can't really see him in the shadow at first, but then he flies around to sit in front of Aang, and like Sokka and Katara behind Aang, and
it's done without words, and it's done at a distance too, but somehow they're still very much able to convey that like closeness and that like family bond that has developed over the past couple episodes, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why that's like sticking out so much more now during this rewatch, but just I don't know, like before we did this whole project, I was like, I had such a specific way of viewing these characters of like, oh, this has always been kind of thing. So seeing it like become that, just like, this is rewarding to watch. I love it.
Yeah, honestly, it's very interesting watching it with a critical eye, you know what I mean? Because
watching it to discuss it is way different than just watching it.
Yeah, it's like there's things you miss when you're just watching it, right? Like maybe you're not paying as much attention or whatever, but when you're watching it with a critical eye, you kind of see like the evolution of the characters, and even like watching it a second time and these early seasons and just thinking to what they become in the third season and then later seasons, and how much more like serious and like competent they are, and like just more aware of themselves, and like this feels like where all these, this is the start of it all, you know. This is the start of the bonds, and this is the start of the competency and stuff like that. It's just so cool to see like the evolution of the characters throughout the series.
I got my thought back. That was my thought from before.
Wow.
I just want to say, Cody, you give me shivers. That was awesome.
So from before, that's what I was thinking about. I was like, so Aang is gonna fly into Fire Nation territory, and Sokka and Katara look at each other like, this is not good. We're going into Fire Nation territory. And I'm just thinking like, what? I forgot that you guys were scared to go into Fire Nation territory for a second. That like took me off guard. Because like later on they're just like, we're just gonna go and stay in this Fire Nation town. Yeah.
Are you talking about like in season 3 kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, it took me off guard for a second. I was like, why are they so scared? They're so good at everything. But like they're just coming into that. That was my thought from before.
I love whatchamacallit. Oh yeah, the Aang and Aang against the blockade when he breaks the direct hits. Whoa, what am I saying? Yeah, that scene where Aang jumps off Appa due to that cool air kick and destroys rocks. I feel like whatchamacallit. Yeah, it's so cool seeing how that eventually progresses as well. Of because as soon as what that scene in particular reminded me of is in book 2, when they go and invade the Earth Kingdom, and all the guards are like launching those giant boulders at them, and how Aang is just like so focused and like so set in his duty, like, I'm gonna do this because I'm the Avatar. This is the right thing to do, and I'm tired of all the excuses the Earth Kingdom is making, and like the Dai Li. And do you remember that one scene where he's just flying on Appa, boulders coming over to his right side, and he's not even looking, just like sticks out his hand, and it just like shatters and explodes.
It's such a powerful scene.
Oh yeah, so it's just so cool, like seeing him do this now and kind of waver, and then knowing in the future, like a book away, he's gonna just be flicking stuff out of the sky without looking, and it's just like, it's like he's settled in that competency. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's like the progression of the characters, right? And also it's also that like that kind of progression of trust between Appa and Aang, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like Appa trusts Aang implicitly, you know, without question, and like, except actually that's not true, because at the beginning of the episode he would not listen to Aang until
but trust and like obedience are very different.
No, I know that, but also like he didn't trust Aang to make the decision to go to the Fire Nation by himself, you know?
Yeah, but Appa is also loyal to Sokka and Katara. He's not just loyal to Aang.
Yeah, I know, but it's still trust to be like, okay, I trust that you are competent enough to do this thing, right? In later episodes, I'm sure we'll see examples of Aang wanting to go off on his own with Appa, and Appa is totally 100% cool with it.
Or even over that like Grand Canyon type thing when he sends Appa away by himself and he continues on foot.
Yeah.
Appa trusts him to go by himself.
Yeah, so I feel like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of trust between Aang and Appa, and there always kind of has been, because they've obviously spent the majority of their lives together, and they're the last of their kind and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like we are still seeing that trust grow and develop in these early episodes.
Like as much time they have spent together, they're learning to find to rely on each other in new contexts. It's not like before this life 100 years ago they were used to just dodging air missiles like all the time. So it's like, it's so cool seeing like, oh, like taking this episode in, it's like, oh wow, they're kind of struggling here. Like this, like the thought of them like ever losing someone on Appa's back, like when Sokka fell off, like that felt so foreign. Actually, I was like, wait, what?
Like, how did that even happen? Is this real?
Yeah, just seeing how like, I don't know, it's a brand new thing. They're all entering new warfare, new trenches, and new challenges in life. So it's so cool seeing that trust evolve in that way in these new contexts.
I think it's also like the beginning of like Appa and Aang fighting in tandem. Because like
yeah.
I feel like after when Appa's like down at the water, he's like trying to get up off the water and he does this like big growl and the fireballs coming to his face and Aang shatters it and he's like he's like, oh shit. But then like later like they just fly like they're in sync by the end of book 3. They just like they're flying and they're fighting totally in sync with each other. Like Aang will jump off Appa and Appa will catch him, or like even Katara jumps off of Appa and Appa catches her. Like it's I think this is like what Cody was saying. Like this is a progression of not only trust but of them battling together and learning how to work together.
Yeah, I agree.
And I will just say that the scene where Sokka does fall off Appa and they like do the whole slow-mo thing and like they kind of like pause it for a bit. Like, what a good use of, I don't know, whatever it is, animation,
Yes.
or just like, like pacing or whatever it is. It's just like, that moment felt significant because of the way that they played it up.
That free fall felt like forever, but also like it was like so, like the danger was still so imminent at the same time. It was, beautiful.
Yeah, I felt like they could have done it differently and it wouldn't have had a bigger impact. Like they could have just had Sokka fall off and then like shown a cutscene of him being picked up, right? Or they could have like shown him like almost hit the water and then have him picked up. But like this had like
had the tension.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, it had like something. Had something different.
Yeah.
And even what they did with the tension through that resolution, I think it was Katara reaching out and then just like pulling him, and it was just like, shivers.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah. No, that was very well done for sure. And just something else that I noticed is, this is just a stupid side thought, but the Fire Nation ships look a lot like their mounts. They're very pointy.
Very pointy.
All of their stuff
All
is very
of this,
pointy,
like, they have
actually.
the pointy shoulder pads, they have the pointy little helmets, they have everything about the Fire Nation is pointy.
It's like they designed the Fire Nation to make it so that you couldn't just be like, I just want to hug that. You know, Appa, you want to go up and you want to give a hug
100%.
to. Momo,
200%.
you want to cuddle. Fucking the Fire Nation, you don't want nothing to do with it. Their mounts are pointy and lizards. Their ships are pointy. Their fire, it's all pointy and gross.
Yeah. So like Fire Nation's very pointy. Yeah. I don't really know if Water Tribe is anything, but the Earth Kingdom is very round. They have those round boulders that they use. Their helmets are round. Their like insignia is round. Like everything is very round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it's just interesting. Again, them trying to like be like
the art reflecting the evilness.
It's like the juxtaposition of them being the bad guys, but like not really.
Yeah.
It's like they're really trying to portray them as the bad guys, but like not really.
Yeah. These are bad guys, but some of them are good.
Yeah. Which is like, and actually, sorry, again, just kind of continuing on with that thought. Most of the Fire Nation dudes who like are not bad guys aren't pointy.
Like Iroh?
Iroh's not pointy.
He's very round.
He's a very round boy.
That's so good. That's wow. The attention in the art design to communicate that. That's amazing.
And then,
when we meet Zhang, he's not wearing traditional.
He's spiky though. His hair is kind of.
But he's not wearing the traditional spiky armor.
Yeah.
And actually, like, Zuko becomes less pointy as right now he's pointy. Yeah. He's got pointy hair.
Oh yeah, and then he doesn't have pointy hair.
He becomes less pointy as it goes on, and he becomes more.
And then
lovable.
he wears like robes instead of armor.
Yeah, you're like, I could give that guy a hug. Right now, I don't want to hug him.
That's so funny.
It's like Fire Nation equals pointy.
The Pointy Nation.
The Pointy Nation.
That's cute.
Last thoughts?
Yeah, any final thoughts, guys?
Don't make it about Iroh. Don't make it about
Iroh. No, this episode is like... I feel like out of all of the episodes, this one almost signifies the start of their journey. Like before it was like separate little journeys in each episode, and this one is kind of like the start of an overarching journey.
Yeah, if this was D&D, they just lived out some backstory right now, and then this is like their the
initial
destiny
sentence.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah. This is when, like, the moment in D&D where, like what you're doing becomes clear instead of just, like, doing random side quests, you know what I mean? It's like, but what are we actually doing here? And, like, it's like the party has actually formed a bond and they give a fuck about each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of, like, a goal in D&D suddenly being revealed.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I understand what we need to do to save the world now.
Yeah.
Before it was just like, we were kind of doing it for money, we were doing it for food, I don't know.
We did it because we wanted to open a fighting ring.
Yeah, we did it for reasons, but now the overarching goal has become clear, and now we are on that quest.
That's great.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
Monks.
Well,
They got a monk. They got a cleric. I would say that
Katara?
Katara is very cleric-like, or druid.
Healing,
paladin?
yes.
Less paladin.
Sokka's a fighter.
She calls down wrath when she needs to.
I feel like
Smite.
I feel like maybe more druid energy.
I would say cleric over druid, for sure.
Okay, fair. Anyways, and then we got a fighter, and then Appa's their trusty mount. And we're gonna stop comparing Avatar to D&D now.
So back to Iroh.
I feel like Iroh would be paladin.
I can see that.
He's very, like,
Heavy
steadfast.
armor is
I don't know.
armor.
I
I
feel
feel like paladins are wise. That's why I gravitate to them.
like Iroh's almost true monk. Like
He's pretty zen.
very very zen, and he's like very.
Oh, maybe.
zen
Maybe,
energy.
yeah, maybe that way. I just feel like he's paladin. Because paladins to me are, like, zen and, like, grounded and wise.
Well, the only this is side tangent. The only reason I don't see Iroh as a paladin is because my thoughts of paladins are always like holier than thou, kind of almost dickish.
shit.
Do you know what I mean? Like
That is not how I view paladins. We have very different
it's like
views
a
on
paladin
paladins.
who's like, because they're supposed to be very in touch with like the divine, right? They're like divine warriors. So
Fair.
that's how I see paladins. Anyways, I hope that you all enjoyed this episode of The Last Podbender.
Momo's the
Tierra
DM.
Fenner?
Oh, sorry.
Momo is the DM.
sorry, I didn't know we were doing outros. My bad. Take two. And
I'm Tierra Penner.
oh, and I'm Timothy. And I'm Timothy Ocampo.
Appa's cool.
Yeah.
I'm Cody Smith.
Stay hot, people.
Yep.
And thank you very much for listening to another episode of The Last Podbender, and stay tuned for the next one.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
love you guys.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Chat with us.
Please, we're not desperate. If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? Whether you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcast, whatever podcatcher you may be listening on, ratings and reviews are huge. They help us to break through those evil algorithms, and it will help us to reach the most amount of glorious Avatar fans that we can possibly reach. If you would like up-to-date information regarding this podcast, follow us on Instagram. You can find us at the.last.podbender on Instagram. If you would like more information about all of the shows that Froggy Style Productions produces, including this one, follow them on social media, and you can find them at Froggy Style Productions on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For more ways in which you can support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.